Can you hear my beautiful voice? Yes. Okay. All right. Let's cut the music. Let's get into it. I do apologize. I don't know what the hell's going on. I've been in the studio all day. Maybe I hit something. I'm like a bull in a china shop. Welcome to College Football's Peek Around the Corner. Blah, 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 blah. If you like our program, please smash the like button. If you want to donate to the program, hit that $sign. I am very thankful that you've all joined us on a Friday, July 25th, as we get closer to the college football season. Deion Sanders. Report has just come out about 20 minutes. No, now it's about 30 minutes before we came on live. Colorado head coach Deion Sanders will hold a press conference on Monday, the first day of preseason camp. Now we got more information. From, this is Brian Howell, who covers the Colorado Buffaloes. We've also got this information from Brett McMurphy of On3 Sports. Colorado's Deion Sanders and his medical team, including representatives from Colorado, I don't know how to pronounce that, and UC Health, will hold its first press conference of fall camp Monday to provide team and general updates. So again, I don't know what this is all about. We do know that Deion Sanders has had some medical issues. And we know that in the past, and this might not be the issue now, I have no idea. In the past, he's has something to where it affects his circulation. I'm hoping, and I am praying that Deion Sanders is going to be with his team all year long, and maybe just speculation. Maybe he has to be up in the press box or up in the box, not be on the football field. Who knows? We're going to find out on Monday. But again, Deion Sanders is being very transparent. First press conference of August camp or fall camp, whatever you want to call it. And Deion Sanders has his medical team going to be part of the press conference. So kudos for Deion Sanders being transparent. We pray, we hope that he is going to be okay for the season. And of course, his health is of the utmost importance, way more important than being the head football coach of any football program. So Deion Sanders is going to be a Monday press conference talking about all of that. So that was the breaking news before we came on live. If there is any updates during the live show, keep your head on a swivel and let me know in the comment section.
let me know in the comment section if there is any news. Now, I don't know. I think you guys are speculating here. Deion will be medically retiring. I have not heard that. Deion's not quitting. I don't believe that. Finely tuned. Be careful, finely tuned. Be careful. I'm giving you a warning. I'm giving you a warning here. Nice and early warning. Yeah, so hopefully he'll be okay. Hopefully he'll be able to coach. But we're going to get the updates. Yeah, I don't really joke about a guy's health. You know, I guess I'm not into that. I guess I'm not into that. Everyone is reporting what Greg told us long ago in regards to UNC. I'm going to have a little bit more. I'm not going to take a W on that because honestly, guys, things are fluid, things are active, and I do not know where things are going to end up. The more I poke and prod and talk to the people that I talk with, nothing has been settled. Nothing is done. In regards to North Carolina, leaning towards the SEC, that has been true for at least 2.5 years. And what is going on in North Carolina is happening in Virginia. And I've also made this statement, which I failed to make yesterday. There is a sweet spot if the Southeastern Conference really, truly wants to nail this down, North Carolina and Virginia, there's a sweet spot to do it. And it ain't gonna last. I mean, it probably won't last beyond the next 18 months. I've had people tell me here, Maria Flugar is in the house, the one who rules with an iron fist. How do I say this? How do I say this without getting in trouble? Thank you, honey. Appreciate it. Appreciate it very much. Mireya knows how hard I work on this show. She knows she sees me on the phone. Sometimes I have to interrupt our dinners or do stuff and say, I've got to take this call. So, you know, Mireya Hernandez Garcia Flugar, she there is a cost to her as well when I do this show. And she knows that I go over and 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 over the information, and I'm poking and I'm prodding, and so it is a cost to her. She knows how I don't take myself seriously, but I take the show very serious. And Yeah, thank you, Heartbreak 25. I appreciate it. I'm okay with numbskull news. I'm take a W on UNC because guys like Numbskull took way too much indirect shots at you. It's not a done deal, but it proves you weren't misinformed. I'm okay with Numbskull news. I'm okay with pretty much everybody because I understand their logic. I understand their reasoning. I understand why people would think that North Carolina would not be the number one target, or why North Carolina wouldn't want to go to the SEC, and I get all that. I'm just telling you guys, all I can do is give you the peak in which I'm being told. And I've been doing this for a very long time. I started up the YouTube channel less than 3 years ago, but I've been doing this for over a decade. I was very fortunate to break news for 247 Sports long before 99% of you even know who I was. So I've been able to have relationships and contacts and build things, and I'm very trusted, and so I'm talking to people constantly. And when I say, you don't have to believe me. People don't believe. A lot of people don't believe me, but things are not done. Things are not settled. I don't believe things are decided. I am sorry. I know I'm supposed to promise everybody a rose garden and say this exactly is how it's going to go, because I did that with USC. I did that with Washington and Oregon. I told you about Colorado being at the center of the stage, and there was a hot bubble of action. And on May 8th, the day after that meeting, that 99% of the YouTube channels did not know about, I said that the Pac-12 got a shot in the solar plexus. This is not that. I cannot promise you what's going to happen because there is so many more variables. I made a prediction, but it was not a report. When we came out on June 15th of 2024 and said that UNC was the number one target for the Big Ten and the SEC, if you're not counting Notre Dame, that was the absolute truth. And people saw that I was taking shots at other programs. I wasn't. I just told the truth. I told the truth in which how the SEC and the Big Ten were telling everybody the same information, including me, including the BTM associates, including every single national reporter. Florida State is a great university. It is a huge brand, and they're going to get to where they need to get to. There's nothing going to stop Florida State from getting where they need to get to. But I told the truth. They did not have a wink wink or an invitation. They just didn't. And when I made that announcement, I pissed off thousands of people. But on the other hand, I made a few people happy. I made some people, the chatter behind the curtain, they were happy because they were being inundated by people with Florida State and Clemson interest saying, we got an invitation, right? We're going to the Big Ten, right? We're going, right? And none of that was true. At that point, none of it was true. I got off on the beaten path here. Let me go back to what I was gonna. I have been told that there are major TV personalities that are within the Fox Sports family that currently are sitting there, and they absolutely believe once North Carolina is able to make the decision and is able to get through whatever they need to get through with the Board of Governors and get through all the wickets, when they finally make that decision to go to the Southeastern Conference or the Big Ten, I'm not shutting the door on that, but the favorite has been for a long time the Southeastern Conference. Once North Carolina makes that decision, that Notre Dame is going to make the decision. I have been told there are at least one very strong Fox Sports personality who absolutely believes that. Now, for the last 3 years, I've been saying that the walls have been closing in on Notre Dame. I've given all the reasons why. I have stated over and over again, once North Carolina leaves the ACC, it's going to be an incredible psychological shock to the ACC. And when USC was talking to the Big Ten during the spring and early summer of 2022, and then when USC, when it became official on June 30th that they were joining the Big Ten, Notre Dame had they set themselves up for a very, very quick turnaround on a decision to be made for them to join the Big Ten or not. And they made that decision. And they said no. They said no. And I think a lot of it had to do with because Notre Dame could still have access to the playoffs, and their Olympic sports would still have a home. Nothing changes. Nothing changes with USC and UCLA going to the Big Ten. And then Oregon and Washington going to the Big Ten. But it will change when the top brands of the ACC leaves the conference. I have been dragged over the coals so many times on the Notre Dame. We're just going to let it happen. But there are people, there is at least one very strong personality there. People are convinced. The chatter behind the curtain has been very convinced. It's why we keep saying here at Peek Around the Corner, when people keep saying, Greg, why don't the Big Ten just move first? Why don't the Big Ten just scoop up Miami, Georgia Tech, or Florida State and Miami, or Florida State, Clemson, whatever the combination that you want to throw out? People keep saying, Greg, why don't the Big Ten just act? Just do it. And I've been told, and nothing has changed, that for the Big Ten, and we made this announcement on June 15th of last year, it is what happens with North Carolina, and then whatever happens in North Carolina, the Big Ten still trying to obtain North Carolina, but whatever happens with North Carolina, the Big Ten is going to check back with Notre Dame because Notre Dame is going to know what's going to happen. I mean, Notre Dame knows once North Carolina moves, something else is moving with them, and other pieces are going to move after that. Then the Big Ten will make their determinations based upon, one, where does North Carolina go? And number two, how does Notre Dame respond to where North Carolina goes? And then the Big Ten will make their decisions. And I think it's very, very likely that it's going to be Notre Dame. I think that marriage is going to happen. So that is why I don't think the Big Ten is going to move until the Southeastern Conference moves. Unless the Big Ten can get North Carolina. But you saw more evidence this week. People with SEC interest have been working on this for a very long time. And there is mounting evidence that they're doing the same thing at UVA. And quite honestly, I do not know how to read that inside Carolina piece when it comes to Clemson. When it says that Clemson alongside North Carolina is the lead in the pack, a lot of people are interpreting that is Clemson and North Carolina together to the Southeastern Conference, and I cannot blame you all for thinking that. I don't blame you all for thinking that because I think that's going to happen. I think that's part of the Southeastern Conference big scoop. But I don't know if inside of Carolina was telling us that. I think they got wind, just my speculation, they got wind on North Carolina working it behind the scenes. They worked it. As we gave you that peek around the corner, North Carolina worked it with Florida State and Clemson to get that settlement deal. We reported that to you many, many, many months ago. And if that wouldn't have gotten done, we also reported that North Carolina by this August was going to put a big stake in the ground. And they were going to do something radical. But they don't have to do that now. They got it done. But they were involved in this. Everybody's waiting on North Carolina. Now, the Notre Dame piece. The Notre Dame piece is, go ahead. BYU football. Notre Dame is never going to join the conference. You go, if you have that mindset, which is fine, I respect it. If you have that mindset, if that is in your head permanently, 100%, now go back and watch that interview a couple of months ago with Marcus Freeman and Joe Klatt. Because Marcus Freeman definitely did not, he definitely did not say what BYU football just said here in the comment section. Go read what Bavak said in a 2024 April interview. He definitely did not say Notre Dame is never joining a conference. He said it's getting difficult and more difficult not to. One of the things that Jack Swarbrick talked about that Jack Swarbrick said it out in the open, and nobody wants to pay attention to it. Jack Swarbrick said out in the open how important it is for his Olympic sports to be able to have the exposure, the revenue, and the ability to go after national championships. That is what Jack Swarbrick said. He was giving everybody a warning. If this ACC home is no longer a home for our Olympic sports, if we cannot compete, if we don't have the exposure, they're going to have to move. And travel was very important in regards to what Jack Swarbrick was saying. Shoot, they moved their men's hockey program to the Big Ten because of travel. They get to these little towns up along the Northeast, while all the other Northeastern hockey schools could just take a bus. Notre Dame had to take a plane and then land the plane and then drive to these arenas. Jack Swarbrick said, no, we can't do that any longer. So they joined the Big Ten. If the ACC loses North Carolina, if North Carolina goes to the Southeastern Conference, this large bandwidth of Olympic sports that North Carolina proudly supports, it's culturally entangled with the people at Chapel Hill. All that is going to the Southeastern Conference. And let's say Virginia goes, and let's say Clemson goes, and let's say Florida State goes. Of course it's going to have an effect on Notre Dame. And this, I'm going to try to be polite here. I got to be polite because I should be polite. But the idea that Notre Dame would be interested in keeping all their Olympic sports inside a conference that is completely occupied by private academic elite institutions, if the ACC implodes, no, that's not going to happen. So, again, the Notre Dame piece is alive and well. It's sitting out there. But first, it is North Carolina. And we talked about how after the ACC settlement, after the House NCAA settlement, along with the power conferences that were a part of that class action lawsuit, once that got all tied up in a bow, we were going to start hearing speculation and leaks, and it's starting to happen. And North Carolina is at the forefront of it all. But that's not to say that there are not other schools that are getting involved. And they are. Okay. It is. It is absolutely compatible with the Big Scoop. It is. Well, I made the prediction Clemson to the Southeastern Conference on April 9th. But that was just a prediction. That was not a report. When I come on here in front of the microphone and I say I got breaking news and I got a report and this is how there was a meeting or there's a hot bubble of action. Okay, now we're into different territory, right? But we're not there yet. Oh, a lot of things have changed. I disagree, Jason. A lot of things have changed. The biggest one is now there can be first party talks. And that's what's going on. Because of the settlement, there are first party talks. These things that were reported by insiders and, that there's a deal being made and there's going to be this and that, and Florida State was going to have a scheduling agreement with the Big Ten and their games are going to be put on TNT, and all this other garbage that was put out there constantly, trolling the Florida State Seminole fan base. None of that was true. None of it could possibly be true. But now, with first party talks, not only that, of course, the ACC schools have a pathway out, and the ACC has to accept their big old check. None of that was true 2 or 3 years ago. None of that was true 2 or 3 years ago. Chris G. Greg, at some point, someone will have to account for the sports that may have to go away at UNC or UVA if they go to the SEC. Now, why would some UNC sports have to go away? Could they not find a home in other conferences? Most of those sports will be at home in the Southeastern Conference. Right? But think about Notre Dame. Swarbrick and Bavacqua have not kept it a secret. If the ACC implodes, they got to figure out what they're going to do. And the walls are closing in. And other people, there's at least one big sports personality at Fox Sports who's starting to tell people, yeah, it's the first trigger is North Carolina. Okay, we got a big show today. We've got a big show today. We'll talk more about that. You can, thank you, Heartbreak25, for the super chat. I appreciate it so very much. I appreciate it so very much. Again, just to make it clear to everybody, Clemson and Florida State are two huge football brands. They're going to get to where they need to get to. They're going to get above the revenue stratification line. They're too valuable. It's going to happen. But it was also always true that North Carolina was the number one target for the Southeastern Conference and the number 2 for the Big Ten, behind Notre Dame. Okay, let's just get to it, guys. I want to let's talk about Germany. Let's talk about Germany. Now, again, a lot of national reporters are going, why? What's going on? Why are they doing this? Not enough of them have been watching Peek Around the Corner. We told you all, we reported for the next 10 years, you are going to be seeing a constant, this is going to be a constant occurrence. I try to answer this on my X account because a CBS Sports A couple of CBS Sports people cannot figure out what the hell is going on. Why is this going on? Why is Michigan playing in Germany? Well, I try to answer that question. Why did the Premier League want into the United States markets? Why did the NFL want into European markets? Those answers to those questions is the answer to why Michigan to Germany, why the Southeastern documentary on Netflix. It's also the answers to why A4 continue to have discussions with private equity, private capital, potential new partners. They're talking about this over and over and over again. The international global markets. Global media has global outreach. And the Big Ten and the SEC and the Big 12 and probably the ACC are looking to push their brand into international markets. And no, it's not going to be like they do it one time and that's it. And everything. No, it's a constant pushing the brand, pushing content into new markets. And they're going to need a partner, probably, most likely. This ain't going to be a one-shot deal. This Michigan to Germany is not going to be a one-shot deal. Americans don't even want to see this game. Why would Germans? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, can I give you a little bit of a... Michigan is going to Germany because of the money. The money. They're getting promised all this sponsorship money. And by the way, Western Michigan is getting a boatload. And I keep trying to tell everybody that the Big Ten don't want to quit playing the MAC schools. They know that money goes to those MAC programs. That keeps that 80-year conference alive, at least for the time being. It's money. They're moving that game from Ann Arbor to Germany. You know how much money they make at Ann Arbor? They had to come up with the loot. The sponsors of Europe had, and why are the sponsors willing to spend all that money to get Michigan over? Because they do want to watch it. They want to see college football grow. I swear to God. I swear. A lot of these college football reporters, I'm going to try to be polite. I'm going to try to be polite. If these college football reporters were the commissioner of the NFL for the last 40 years, the NFL would not have any markets in Europe. Honest to God. Thank God there were college football reporters, because I don't think half of them could operate a hot dog stand in Coney Island. Honest to God. Be polite. Be polite. Lord, how much money is the Premier League making now because they're in the America markets? And no, it doesn't happen all at once. Of course it doesn't. It's going to take a decade of moving some games over there and the t-shirt sales. And look at what has happened in the Premier League in the United States. Look at what's happened in the NFL. And then you've got a college football reporter, God love him, CBS, going, why would anybody in Europe be a fan of Michigan? College sports is a localized. What are you talking about? What are you talking about? These brands are massive, and they've been told they could get a lot bigger. But all you need to do is invest time and get connections in the European markets. Michigan's not going to Germany to lose money. They're going to Germany to make money. And next time it's going to be the Buckeyes. And next time Alabama's going to go. This is going to be going on for the next 20 years. Long after I'm dead and gone, this is going to be going on. And you're going to have people in Frankfurt, Germany, a segment of them that are going to become Michigan Wolverine fans. They're going to buy their t-shirts. They're going to buy their hats. They're going to come to the United States. They're going to buy tickets. Their kids are going to go to school there. They're going to pay full freight. On and on and on. And God bless half the college football reporters, but they can't see anything. They're completely blind. Why do you think the Southeastern Conference is meeting with Goldman Sachs? They're going to push this stuff internationally. I've been talking about this all 2025. And then, so when Michigan goes to Germany, yeah. And then you've got all these college football reporters going, golly gee whiz, this doesn't make any sense. Are you paying attention to anything? Is anybody out there paying attention to anything? It's just, okay, calm down. College football is big business. Yes. Okay. Greg, exactly why we don't want AQ model. Your conference just wants money games. You could care less about college football. BYU football. Number one, you and I can disagree. We often disagree. But again, you're going after my motives. I care about college football. Brett Yormark, your commissioner, just got done saying a couple of weeks ago, he wants to have his institutions be global brands. He wants the Big 12 to be a global brand. What do you think that means, BYU football? What do you think that means? When Brett Yormark says it's you're like a happy seal clapping your fins. When somebody else does it, oh, go! You crack me up. Don't go after my motives again. You can disagree. Of course it's about the money. Of course it's about the money. Facing a $147 million deficit. Iowa State Athletics halts Hilton Coliseum renovation, upping ticket prices. Iowa State views this effort as one of the top priorities and challenges facing the university. An article out today. I will provide the link in the description box. So Iowa State's got to do all these things because they have a huge deficit. They're talking to the Big 12. It's in the article. They're talking to the Big 12 about new revenue streams. ISU is engaging with the Big 12 conference. ISU Foundation, sponsorship, donors. Everybody's doing the same thing. Everyone's doing the same thing. You got to pay the players. There's revenue share. My God, it's unbelievable. Is anybody out there? Okay. Ba 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 ba. Ba ba. Let me make another point. Now, yes, you're absolutely correct, Morris Simmons. They've done the market test on this. It's why the Southeastern Conference is doing what they're doing with Netflix. Hey, if the Big 12, because BYU football is upset, if the Big 12 doesn't want to do what the SEC and the Big 10 are going to do, okay, fine. That's the Big 12. I mean, it's like complaining that the Big 10 formed the Big 10 network. Oh, it's all about the money, Greg. You're doing it all for the money. I'm not going to get into a rant about this. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to get into a rant. But I want to point something else. This whole thing about the college football playoffs, right? I'm not going to rant. I promise you. I'm not going to go into a rant. I said yesterday was going to be my last rant. My last CFP rant. I'm going to do all I can to not to break that promise. So I'm going to say this. People are out there mocking the idea, college football fans and a lot of Big 12 fans, a lot of ACC fans, a lot of Southeastern Conference fans, reporters, mocking the idea of an Illinois team going 6-3 in the conference, winning a play-in game. How dare the Big Ten believe that Illinois should be in the playoffs? When Tony Petitti was at, I'm not going on a rant. After I talk about this, I'm going to let it drop and go back into our big program we got set up today. But I gotta point something out, because the hypocrisy is unbelievable. What is going on here? Everybody mocking the idea that a 6-3 Illinois team, if they win a playing game, they should not make the playoffs. They're not. That's not pure. That's something we cannot recognize at a 16-team playoffs. Automatic qualifiers. Illinois goes 6-3 and they make a play-in and they win. They go to the playoffs. That cannot happen. Well, what happened last year? Let me show you. I posted this yesterday. If there was a 16-team playoff last year using 5+11, according to the playoff committee, a 5-3 South Carolina, Alabama, and Ole Miss would have made the playoffs. But with a 16-team AQ model, using a play-in structure, a 6-3 Illinois winning a play-in game to get into the playoffs gets mocked. This is your record, ladies and gentlemen. 5-3 Ole Miss, 5-3 Alabama, 5-3 South Carolina would have all made the college football playoffs last year, and BYU would not have. And by the way, Ole Miss, Alabama, and South Carolina would not have had to win a play-in game. So you can't mock the idea, the concept of Illinois going 6-3, winning a play-in game, and getting into a 16-team playoff, but then just not pay attention to the big old Alabama elephant that is sitting in the room. So again, I say to these college football reporters, what the hell are you talking about? What are you looking at when you say these things? Why aren't the SEC teams would have been 5-3 without a play and win? Now, what Petiti has wrong is his model is not big enough. You got to pork that thing up. You got to give the ACC and the Big 12 the same access to at least one playing game and a conference championship game. But the idea that Illinois gets mocked in the Southeastern Conference does not, well, that kind of plays into everything that I've been saying for the last year. I did it without ranting, I think. Okay. Alrighty. Let's get back to Michigan. We're having too much fun. Michigan, Western Michigan to open the 2026 season in Frankfurt, Germany. Broken by the great Brett McMurphy on 3 Sports. Michigan and Western Michigan will open the 2026 season on Saturday, August 29th in Frankfurt, Hesse, Germany. A really good friend of mine, his name Hesse, Dan Hesse. Great basketball player. Well, he was. He's my age. I bet he can still hit the three-pointer, though. Sources told On 3. The game will be held at Deutsche Bank Park, a 55,000-seat retractable roof soccer stadium that has hosted 5 NFL games. This will be Michigan's first international game in the program's 145-year history. It will also be the 5th college football game held in Germany, but the first between FBS programs and the first in Frankfurt. Michigan will become the only 6th Big Ten member at the time of the game to play overseas. The others, Northwestern, Nebraska, 2022 in Dublin, Ireland. Penn State played UCF in 2014 in Dublin. Wisconsin versus the Michigan State Spartans in 1993 in Tokyo, Japan. Next year's contest between Michigan and Western Michigan was originally scheduled to be played at Michigan Stadium on September 5th, 2026, before being moved to Frankfurt. It will be the 29th meeting between the Wolverine and a MAC opponent, but the first not played in Michigan Stadium. Michigan has won all 8 meetings against the Broncos, the last game in 2021. So you can imagine how much money is being promised to Michigan and how much money Western Michigan is going to get to go to Frankfurt, Germany. A lot of sponsors, they want to make the connection to the Big Ten and to Michigan. So that is why it's happening. And we're going to see more and more of this, just like in the NFL. Hesse jacks threes. Jeff Olson knows Dan Hesse. Dan Hesse jacks threes. You know what? He was born a little too early, Jeff Olson. Dan Hesse was born in the day when we played basketball that there wasn't even a three-point line in high school basketball. It wasn't a rant, but he was talking from a very high step stool. But that step stool is got a lot of support, Opie. That step stool cannot be falling apart if I'm standing on it. That's a great question. Preston from Greensboro, are they going up against North Carolina and TCU? That's a great question. I'm guessing no, but that was the 29th, right? August 29th. Is there a date yet for TCU? I know the season starts later next year, right? Right? So, Nerf. I'm done with this clown that can't comprehend what he reads and goes on a 5-minute rant that has nothing to do with it. Later, I'm done here. It wasn't a rant. It was not a rant. Now, it might be true that I can't comprehend, but I don't think that was a rant. I don't think that was a rant. The 3-point line came into effect 2 years after we graduated. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it is. Ooh. Now, tell me what is the time zone difference between Frankfurt, Germany, and Dublin, Ireland? Are they in the same time zone? Let me know. Okay, so that's the Michigan story. I am going to Dublin is Zulu, Germany is +1. Very interesting. Very interesting. Sam, I will watch TCU and UNC over Michigan versus a team down the road. More of a grouse. I think you're correct, Vox Quindaro. I think you are correct. Western Michigan, national champions. Okay, guys, this is my official... Now, I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. We do not do this historically until we get into August. I'm not ready to make our official prediction order to finish in the Big 12, SEC, ACC, Big 10. We are not ready to make our official prediction of the college football playoffs. Hold on, I'm going to sneeze. Excuse me. I'm not ready to make any of those predictions. I'm not even ready. Greg the Gold is not even ready. Not even ready to make his selections against the spread in week 1. Greg the Gold is not even going to do that. I'm not ready. But what I am ready to do, what I am going to make official today on July 21st is our very first heading into week 0. Heading into week 0, our very first Heisman Watch List. PATC Heisman Watch List. Receiver from Ohio State, Jeremiah Smith, number 1. Cade Klubnik, number 2. Sam Levitt, number 3. Jeremiah Love, the running back, Notre Dame, number 4. Arch Manning. Yes. 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 Number 5. Garrett Nussmeier, number 6. We are going to keep it to 6 throughout the season. There's going to be changes, and we're gonna look at this every single week. So the next week, after the week 0 games, it's going to be the same. It's going to be the same rankings, right? Heading into week 0, heading into week 1. Unless somebody really shines in week 0. Let's say Rocco Beck throws for 505 yards, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions. Rocco Beck might take over Garrett Nussmeier's spot at number 6. Right? What if Dylan Edwards goes and returns a punt for a touchdown and runs for 298 yards, runs for 2 touchdowns, and catches another TD? He might replace Arch Manning, but this is probably going to be the top 6 list going into week 1. Let's take number 6, Garrett Nussmeier. If Garrett Nussmeier can just tighten it up just a bit, cut down on those gambling plays, Garrett Nussmeier, I think, has a shot to be. Now, he might drop out of here when they play Clemson, but I think he's got a very good shot of going to New York City at the end of the year. Arch Manning, sorry guys, he's on the list. The Buckeyes are going to have to prove to me that he does not deserve to be on this list. Are you listening to me, Buckeyes? Are you listening to me, Buckeyes? Arch Manning is going to come into the shoe and he is going to rock your world. I am the conductor on the hype train for Arch Manning. And this is Greg the Gold. This is Greg the Gold. Okay, I meant New York. No. Arch Manning deserves to be on this list because he is a phenomenal talent. And he's going to prove it so quickly in that first half of the Buckeye game. Isaac Brown, Rod Nix, is a sleeper. We got to keep an eye on Isaac Brown. He was so good last year as a true freshman. Arch Manning is not in trouble with the fat guy backing him. Jeremiah Love, Notre Dame. Again, Notre Dame plays Miami in that first week. Jeremiah Love can put a stamp on the season early on. A big game against Miami. It would propel him possibly to the top of the list. Sam Leavitt is going to be a contender. He may never fall off this list, right? He may stay here, and we might see him at number 1 at the end of the season. Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier, week 1. And then I had to have Jeremiah Smith, number 1, because the reigning defending undisputed national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, Jeremiah Smith, the best player on the team, probably the best player in the country. It's difficult for a wide receiver to win it, but I think he is going to be a beast again in year 2. So I've got Smith number 1. Don Scruggs, Gunnar Stockton. We shall see. I am not convinced either way. I'm not going to take too much stock in how Gunnar Stockton looked late last year in the playoffs. I do not know. It's a big wild card. Gunnar Stockton, not just him though. I'm talking about Georgia's offense. Give the ball to Nate Frazier, and it's going to help Gunnar Stockton. But I don't know if they're going to give the ball to Nate Frazier. And I'm not sure about Georgia's wide receiver room once again. I don't think Sane is going to be able to get Smith the ball. You might be right, but I think the Buckeyes are going to throw the ball more than they did last year. Because I don't think Peoples or whatever they got in the backfield is going to do what they were able to do last year. I think the Buckeyes are going to throw it more. And that's going to give more opportunities to Jeremiah Smith. His numbers were unbelievable last year. Unbelievable. And I think it's only going to grow, in my opinion. And Kleinholtz or that whole Buckeye quarterback situation, I would love for a Buckeye in the chat room to let me know what they're thinking there. Every time Ryan Day talks about the quarterback position in Columbus, he says Sayin and he says Kleinholtz. He has not made that decision. He keeps saying it's neck and neck. Very interesting. Very interesting. Ricky Tungate, after your show, since your number one fan is home, go out for dinner and enjoy. Thank you, Mr. Ricky Tungate. Thank you so much for your incredible generosity, Mr. Hoosier. I very much appreciate it. Wow. Thank you, good sir. The wife, the little general is home on a Friday. She's usually working, but not today. But she is working around the house like a demon. She's cleaning and cleaning and cleaning. She's probably listening to the show. Thank you, Ricky Tungate. I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Don Scruggs, his amazing answers at SEC days just solidified my beliefs. All right? Well, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Al Bundy, Arch is ready for the Texas Revenge Tour this year. Jason says it's going to be a quarterback this year. You're probably correct. Thank you, Ricky. Appreciate it, my man. Very humbled. Thank you so very much. Thank you, Heartbreak25 and Ricky, for you guys' support to help us keep the lights on. Okay, let me check something real quick here. Somebody has just DM'd me something. Hold on, everybody. Give me a moment, please. Nothing that I can go with. I'm not going to go with that. Sorry, guys. I just wanted to check something out here. I definitely cannot go with that. No, not a brace for impact. And I cannot confirm it. Okay, we are. I'll keep working on it during the live show here. I'm going to open up the phone lines. You can give a call, 763-260-1333. 763-260-1333. Give a call, talk anything in college football that your heart desires. We talked about the Heisman Watch, Michigan to Germany, and the reasons why.
From
Rick?
Rick, the floor is yours.
Oh, this is good stuff with this move to opening the season in Germany next year. There's a big difference between the Ireland and Germany. The game here, Farmageddon, coming up, is probably a majority of the stands is going to be filled by Wildcat fans and Cyclone fans traveling over for the game.
Yeah.
And then there'll be some local Irish interest from those who like American football. But Germany's totally different. And the fact that it's being held in Frankfurt makes it even better. Because what Germany's got that Ireland doesn't have is Ramstein Air Force Base, Spandeldog Air Force Base, the Bavaria Army Complex, and a whole bunch of other U.S. military bases that have young people who absolutely love football and who fill up the games for the NFL games that are held in Frankfurt.
Who, can you hold on a second, Rick? Edward the Auburn Tiger, who is Feinbaum's guest? What is his name? Let me know what his name is. Rick, unbelievably, you are correct, sir. Thank you for that is unbelievable, great information you just provided. I appreciate it, sir. That is a big deal. That is a huge deal. Go on, sir. I apologize for interrupting.
And they yearn for football there. What we call football. They've got all the soccer they want, and it's a beautiful game, and they're lucky to be in Germany because the Bundesliga is fantastic, but it's not American football, and we're talking about young kids between the ages of 18 and 25 who get paid every couple of weeks, and now they know a year in advance if I save up some coin, and if I put in for leave early enough. Hey, it's only an hour or a 2-hour train ride to go see an American football team, college football team, and of all, Michigan, even if you hate them, they're great football to watch. And the Broncos are good too. Oh boy. And some of them, because some of them stationed there have a car, and unlike Ireland, the Germans drive on the correct side of the road, and they can get there nicely on the Autobahn and choose to get a hotel room and maybe do some tailgating and invite their German guest to a real American college football tailgate before the game. And then the last part is all of those bases, every single one of them, they have all kinds of enlisted men and women working there, but they've also got officers, Air Force and Army officers. And there's one thing that they all have in common. They're all college graduates.
Yeah.
And they've been to many college games. So
yeah,
I'm excited.
Yeah, and again, Michigan's not going to move a game out of their Ann Arbor to go to Germany unless they're promised an unbelievable bag of cash. And the ones that are promising the bags of cash, they're not going to do it unless they think unless they're going to get paid in return by the consumers of who's there in Germany. And
those Michigan alums are making so much coin. It's just no big deal to fly to.
Plus you got that. Yep.
Okay, thanks.
Beautiful, man. Great call, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Okay. Beautiful call, Rick. Now, what do you guys talk? Who is Scott Hamilton? I don't even know who Scott Hamilton is. Isn't he the ice skater? I don't know who Scott Hamilton is. I don't know. I'll tell you guys, a couple of years, 4 or 5 years ago, I used to go on these long walks, and which I should start again, to be honest with you. But I would listen to Paul Feinbaum's program that had just played like 2 days before. I haven't listened to, I don't know who his guests are. Scott Hamilton with the Columbia Post. Sports reporter for the Post and Courier, Charleston, South Carolina. Okay, I need everybody to calm down. Hold on a second. I'm calling a timeout. I've got 3 timeouts in every show, and I'm calling a timeout right now. I need everybody to give me a moment. Give me a moment. Okay, I do know. I've actually had his stuff on this show. I have done a couple of articles, at least one. All right. So what exactly? Edward the Auburn Tiger, give me a call. Edward the Auburn Tiger, give me a call. Even though you're upset with me, because I think Cam Coleman and Singleton are going to be very good receivers for Jackson Arnold, and I think Auburn is going to be better than they've been the last 3 years, and you don't want to hear that because you still believe I'm Greg the cooler, but I'm not. I'm Greg the Gold. Edward the Auburn Tiger, please give me a call. Just give me a call, Edward. I know you're upset with me because I'm a little optimistic about Auburn, and you believe that I am this albatross around War Eagle, but I'm not. I'm not an albatross. I promise. I am not an albatross. Edward the Auburn Tiger, give me a call, 763-260-1333. You got to call me. I can't have this piecemeal to me.
Call from
Edward the Auburn Tiger.
Edward the Auburn Tiger. First of all, I want to thank you for keeping your head on a swivel and putting that in the chat room. Okay?
Yes,
I want to
sir.
say
You're
thank
welcome.
you. Number two, I guess I have to apologize to you because since I did the Auburn Spotlight show where I'm very optimistic about Auburn, but I'm not optimistic about Tennessee and Ole Miss, and I think Auburn is going to move up in the standings, I believe that you may have been a little upset with me because you think I'm still Greg the Cooler. But I promise you, I'm Greg the Gold, Edward. Okay? So hopefully you can forgive me. Okay?
Well, first, I'm never upset with with Greg. That's for sure.
Okay. I appreciate it.
You just,
I appreciate it. Number three, please tell us in as much detail as you can, what did Scott Hamilton tell Paul Feinbaum? The floor is yours.
well, Scott Hamilton said that he had heard from a key source that North Carolina basically has a handshake agreement with the SEC. And so Paul Feinbaum was prodding him to answer more questions. And he said he had heard that Virginia was to the Big Ten. That's what he heard. And then Feinbaum asked him some more. So what happens next? And then he mentioned either Florida State or Clemson, maybe to the SEC. And so it sounds like that news article that you've been responding to with the Clemson North Carolina pairing is where it kind of sounded. And so that's basically what he was saying. And then Feinbaum said that he had heard some things a little bit different. But he always says that he's not really in the know and all that good stuff. So you know how Feinbaum does. He kind of mixes it in.
So Feinbaum said he had heard a little bit different than what Scott Hamilton said, and Scott Hamilton said North Carolina basically to the SEC. It could be either Clemson or Florida State along with North Carolina, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then he said Virginia to the Big Ten.
Yeah.
He didn't mention any other school?
No, sir. Just basically those four
Got
that he was mentioning. And then he mentioned the 2030 deal as well. So that's a little bit different than what you've been saying. Which I believe that actually you're more accurate than what they're hearing. I really do believe you are dead nails.
Well, I think so. What is going on? I appreciate all this information, and I'll go listen to it myself when I get an opportunity. But now for the last couple of months, I've been saying that, once this House NCAA Autonomy for Conference thing gets settled, and it did, that we would be hearing either speculation or reporting or a mixture of both. And now we're starting to hear that. Correct, Edward? We're starting to get it.
Yes, right.
But
the thing is, Greg, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say this. I feel that the key entity that everyone is leaving out in these conversations is ESPN.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I do not. The SEC may have their desires. I absolutely do not see ESPN signing off any agreement without their inventory they want. And I don't think they're willing to let go of Florida State and Clemson, in any deal. I just don't see that. There's no way they're going to hand over Florida State and or Clemson to the Big Ten to their competitors, because I believe behind all of these moves, the television networks are making these deals, is what I believe. And so that's the perspective I see it coming down to. The SEC may have what they desire, but there is a partner. There's a three-way partnership: the schools, the SEC, and the ESPN that's writing the checks. And I believe they're going to have a big say in where teams go and whatever, no matter what the SEC wants. All parties are going to have to make whole. Is what I believe.
Yeah. All right, I appreciate it, Edward. I'm going to take it. I appreciate the phone call.
Keep up the good show.
Edward, thanks for keeping your head on a swivel. I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful call.
Call from
Jeff Fuller.
Jeff Fuller, can you just hold one moment, please?
Of course, Greg.
I appreciate it. Again, Scott Hamilton, what he said may end up being correct, maybe a little bit wrong. Paul Feinbaum says he's hearing something different. This is going to be going on because now that it's started, it ain't going to stop, because what they are hearing is, you get a source saying one thing, you got a source saying another thing, because things are so active, and they try to keep the tight circle on this stuff. But once something leaks out and then somebody counteracts that leak saying, no, we're not that far down the road. And so we're going to see more of this. It was just the question of when was it going to start? And what is going to be ending up being the most accurate report, we're going to have to find out. I don't know what it is, because I don't think things are completely done and settled yet. I don't believe that. Now, this guy says there may be a handshake deal. There really is no handshake deals in this type of stuff, but I won't go down that rabbit hole. Jeff Fuller, thank you for the phone call. Thank you for the patience. The floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Count me as skeptical on that as well. Usually these things don't leak on talk shows, and that there's a handshake deal, and then that's usually not the way these things work. These things have to go through approvals, and usually the big dogs in the media world have their stories written by the time these things have gone to the various boards for votes and approvals, count me skeptical there. Michigan thing's very interesting. More power to them. It sounds like they're going to get a big payday, and expanding the brand, and it's one of the biggest brands there is out there in college sports and in sports in general. Wonderful, beautiful brand. I had one opportunity to go there and watch my BYU Cougars in the Big House get pummeled, manhandled by the Michigan Wolverines. It was about 7-8 years ago. I'm trying to forget it, but they impressed me with their fan base and with their team that they had going at that point. Quick question, Greg. Lots of talk about the play-in games and the interest that it would bring, all the fan bases that would stay engaged so late into the season. I think you were onto something with the fact that, what you love, the idea of the play-in game, and Petiti and Big Ten people love, and probably some SEC people love, are those things that it would keep so many sort of in the hunt. Big 12 was probably an aberration last year. But guess how many teams were in the hunt for the championship game going into the last regular season game of the season?
Quite a few.
nine
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
the 16 teams, so
Yeah.
the majority of the
Yeah.
teams. And that's definitely not going to happen every year.
Yeah.
Big 12 was all about parity last year, and so a lot of fan bases were engaged up until the end of that, and that was exciting and nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
And that does drive viewership. You were onto something though, saying, well, this is great for the Big Ten and the SEC, but it's not great for anyone else because no one else sort of gets that benefit. So
Yeah.
I give you full credit for recognizing that. That I think what really would make these playing games, truly meaningful, and what I haven't heard said is it a true do or die game? Is the Big Ten, is the SEC, if there are more conferences with that opportunity, is the team that is going to lose, are they eliminating themselves from at-large consideration? And that's where. Well, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead and answer that question. This is the, of course, nobody's listening to me, but sometimes I try to act like people are listening to me. But of course, none of the decision makers know who the hell I am. I mean, Kevin Warren found out who I was.
A show by a nobody for fellow nobodies. And I appreciate
Kevin Warren did find out who
you.
I was, and his right-hand legal counsel guy found out who I was. But that's the story for a different day. But I put up this
sounds
tweet.
Interesting.
I said, solution for the CFP. Solution to make sure non-conference games have value towards postseason play. Solution to make sure conference races and standings, conference games hold importance towards postseason play. Operation Apple. 2 bites of the apple. 4, 4, 3, 3, 1, 3 equals 18 teams. And those numbers and then of course those numbers could change if you have a look-in, or those numbers would change if you have a different, after the next realignment, or those numbers could change just because the pressure would be too much on the Big Ten and the SEC based upon politicians involved, whatever. My long answer to your very short and simple question is no. I don't think those playing games should be absolutely 100% do or die. Because I think you need to have at least, and I got in my 18 playoffs, you need to have at-large bids. Because if you do not have at-large bids, then you are not injecting value into those non-conference games. I want teams to have 2 bites at the apple. If you play a bunch of sleds in non-conference, right? If you play nobody and you won those games, and then you go and finish 3rd or 4th in your conference and you lose your play-in game, well, you get an at-large bid, you playing those sleds, those not very good teams, all of them in your non-conference slate doesn't help you. But if you played a non-conference slate and you won a big game, or you came very close to beating another big-time brand school, a very good school that's going to get to the playoffs, and you go win your enough conference games to go into the play-in game and you lose, now you have a better chance of getting that large bid. So to me, it's important to have some at-large bids. It's important. Now, for some of those teams, it is going to be do or die, right? Like their only chance, they can see the selection committee rankings. Their only chance is to win that playing game. But for others, they might not have to win that game because, they finished 3rd in the Big 12. They're 11-1. In a non-conference game, they beat Oregon, and so they lose by a field goal in their playing game. They should have that opportunity to get in for it at large. Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, and that's that's sort of been the talk the whole time, and I think that by people sort of vehemently, push back against Petiti, and he wasn't just saying a 6-3 team. He was saying a 6-3 Big Ten team that stumbled in their out of conference game, and maybe more than one. I mean, they could stumble in all three. They could be 6-6 playing. Let's say it's Illinois 6-6 playing Penn State, and I've been through this. Penn State, who's 10-2 but lost the tiebreaker, not in the championship, but they're ranked 6th by the college playoff committee, so they're in. They could lose the game, possibly lose it by a big margin if their losses were to Ohio State and Oregon or something, and they're just obviously a great team. People were saying, well, this conference championship game in the SEC, we've got Texas and Georgia, and they're both in the playoff. This is sort of a meaningless game. Whoever wins, yay, they're the champion of the SEC. And, I'm glad that players and coaches themselves are, they do want to win those championships. Fan bases, I think, do want to win those championships. Mm-hmm. But, eye on the prize, it's all about the playoff. What's to say, the Penn State says, are we going to what happened to Georgia's quarterback? He was lost for the season in the SEC championship game. We have a proof of concept that playing that extra game and playing it to win it cost Georgia a more realistic chance of being a good playoff team. And so who's to say that Penn State doesn't just rest? I mean, it's a meaningless game to them. What does it matter? Seeding, yeah, important from that standpoint, but they're probably not going to lose a home game. Probably not going to drop to below 8th or whatever to lose a college playoff home game. And so this is the concern is, you're talking about these, super exciting playing games, do or die, and it's not really do or die for that team. And I think there could be, and the Big Ten would love to have that, that weaker team get in. That's going to be an extra playoff team, an extra chance.
Yeah, but if you win that playing game, you have a better chance to move up in the seeding. And I don't know if you saw my post of yesterday, which I showed today. If you flip it if we go through 5, like last year, and I'm going to put it up on the screen here. Last year, if we did a 16-team playoff last year, 5 plus 11, okay, and we would have Alabama, South Carolina, and Ole Miss would have made the playoffs. Now you can make an argument. Well, if it was a 16-team playoff, the committee might not have jammed all 3 SEC teams into the playoffs. Maybe BYU. You can make that argument. Okay, let's make that argument.
In that situation, BYU was 17 or Iowa State was 18. Okay. So, the first 2 teams out would have been BYU and Iowa State, 2 Big 12 teams. So only 1 Big 12 team where you get the 3rd ACC team, the 4th, 5th, and 6th SEC teams. I think the committee, their rankings mattered up till 12 last year, and the rest is sort of, not important.
Okay, so let's make a change here. Let's just have 2 of the SEC teams make it, not all 3. Okay. Okay. So let's have Ole Miss and Alabama because they were both ahead of South Carolina. Well, if you look at the screen, Ole Miss and Alabama were both 5-3 last year. 5-3 in their conference play, and neither team, and in this model, neither team would have to win a playing game. They
didn't stumble in their out of conference. Yep.
Well, yeah, and neither team would have had to win a playing game. They'd be in. And this is not getting mocked by the reporters. It's not. They just say, well, Alabama and Ole Miss, they should. So I find it highly hypocritical. Because in that model, you would have 5-3 conference teams making it. I mean, Ole Miss didn't beat anybody with the pulse last year, but they're not getting the same. No one's like it's. That was my point. I would rather have Ole Miss to secure that spot, win that playing game, right? And if they don't, if they look terrible,
why put the season down to that one game?
Well,
maybe they're playing. They're playing at Georgia that doesn't.
Okay. Look, I'm sorry, but Alabama was playing terrible last year. At the end of the year, they were bad. Jeff, don't you want Alabama to play in that playing game and then BYU play in a playing game in the Big 12 and BYU win and Alabama loses? Again, people say prove it on the field, but then people say, well, you can't go down to one playing game. Well, I don't even know anymore. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, I've listened to the show for a long time, and you were not on the play-in game train until it looked like the SEC wasn't.
No,
and
that's not why I flipped. The reason why I flipped was I listen to people that I disagree with. I listened to Josh Pate. I was shaking my head, and then I said, "Wow, that makes sense." Then Joe Klatt, I disagreed with him, but then I listened to him.
Who do those two guys work for?
I don't care who they work for. I'm listening to the argument. I'm listening to the argument. Argument to me
CBS
speaks.
And Fox, they're the Big Ten media partners. And what did we just learn from sources recently? That, Pat Forty, I forget who the other person who brought it out, they said that Petiti is pushing this.
Yeah, I heard.
Because of the media partners. Okay. Promises, assurances made to the media partners.
Hold on. I reported what Pat Forty reported September 9th of last year. I reported this is why the Big Ten is pushing the 4. The media partners want it. The media partners wanted it. Now, the whole thing that Petiti promised that this was going to happen, I mean, that Pat Forty cannot stand the Big Ten. You're talking about Joe Klatt and other people being influenced. Well, you got to go the other way with it, Jeff. Pat Forty hates the Big Ten with every morsel in his body. Same with Stuart Mandel. So you got to go both ways with it. I did not. I flipped on the argument. Because 5 plus 11, you want to talk, look at Bill Connelly's projections on what happens to the Big 12. I saw you with your projections on what's happened in the last 10 years. Look at what Bill Connelly's projections of the next 5 years. If it's 5 plus 11 and the SEC stays at 8 games, the Big 12, it hurts the Big 12. It does. And then
I don't care, Greg.
Huh?
I don't care. Big play-in games, 4 automatic qualifiers for conferences where it's never been done in any other sport in the NCAA. No U.S. professional sport has multiple automatic qualifiers for any division or conference. It's anti-competitive. It's what sports are.
But we are all, and I think that's a very good argument. But we're already doing something the SEC staying at 8 conference games knifes the Big 12.
They've always been at 8 conference games.
Huh?
The ACC's at 8 conference games. That's how it's always been. The Big Ten and the Big 12 moved to it more recently because of media partners and because the money was better. And so I feel, I've said it before, I feel like the media companies, but especially these play-in games, the play-in game tail is wagging the college football playoff dog. And I think most of the rest of the country has seen that, and that's why only one conference is supporting this model, which I think is horrible.
So you don't think so it doesn't matter if the SEC has this unbelievable advantage over the Big 12, it will continue to hold it, and they're going to tweak the metrics to make it even more advantageous for the SEC.
Well, you don't know that. You don't know that. They're pushing for that, and I think no one trusts the committee. The SEC now, they're saying,
I think you should read.
We got our teams left
Bill
out.
Conley's article.
I've read it.
God.
I've read it. I've looked at all the numbers.
Yeah, and what did it tell you?
Yeah, it told me that the SEC has been the best conference for decades. They have dropped off from their highs, but even with the strength at the middle and the bottom of the conference compared to all the other power conferences, that there is more value in an SEC schedule and SEC record.
Okay.
All right. I mean, they are harder schedules. They just are.
Okay. We're just going to have to agree to disagree. If you're so upset with the Big Ten because they're trying to make it so the SEC is not drinking your milkshake, and if you just want to lay down for the SEC on every single thing,
thought the Big Ten was,
it's
if
unbelievable.
I thought the Big Ten was doing it for the good of college football, then maybe, but the Big Ten is doing it for the good of the Big Ten and their media partners, so that they don't have a competitive disadvantage.
Here's the irony of it. They're doing it for the good of the Big 12. But I guess it doesn't matter.
That's why they're doing it? That's why they're doing it? Are you kidding me?
Okay.
I mean, I know we're talking past each other. I know we're having a fun argument with a little passion mixed in. But this is what we do as fans.
That's exactly.
And I promise you, I'm 95% Big 12 BYU fan and 5% Bama, SEC fan. But I
can pick that up.
Even if it hurts my conference, and I just think you gotta. Yep. I just think we're at an impasse. I think.
Yes, we definitely are. Because we are definitely. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it, my man. Appreciate it, sir. Great call. Great call. Jeff is a very smart guy, very passionate. And I have a problem with how Petiti has argued his point. But my God, I feel like and I promise I'm not going to go on a rant, but I feel like nothing really matters. There is a general... The Southeastern Conference staying at 8 conference games and a 5+11 with all the advantage that they have with this strength of schedule. It is unbelievable. Bill Conley, he's not only written about it, he has said it in a... But yeah, my camp, everything's kind of going out on me. Hold on. Yeah. Hold on, everybody. I'm going to try to see if I can fix it. I actually think I'm having an equipment malfunction. To be honest with you. No, that didn't work. Yeah, the camera, I think things are about to go here. Yeah, microphone not working, no sound detected. I think I'm having an equipment failure. So, I'm going to have to get another different deck here. I do appreciate you all coming on in. I thank you guys so very much. I'm going to have to get a different equipment here to make the adjustments. I want to thank everybody who joined us. The Super Chats, Mr. Tungate, and I can't even get to the other screen. Ricky Tungate and Heartbreak 25, I appreciate it. Great call, Jeff Fuller. Rick, appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Edward the Auburn Tiger, for keeping your head on a swivel. Until next time, from all of us at PATC, please, you all take great care of each other. Thank you so